She's one of the people that actually, she's one of the people I actually look at, and I'm challenged by how she's grown so much in her career and even generally in her life. Tolu is just, apart from the fact that you're my friend, Tolu, you're one of the people that actually inspire me in life, just for you to know. And anytime you catch me in the UK, Tolu, just know that Tolu is my host in London. So she's always the one like making sure I'm fine and making sure like everything goes well with my trip, you know. So anytime I'm in London, just know that I'm most likely with Tolu. Thank you so much, Tolu, for honoring this invitation. And then now you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Firstly, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud.
Perfect, yeah. Thank you very much for the warm and kind introduction. I'm just going to share my screen, if that's okay, because I've got a few slides to walk us through today. So I will share. If everyone can just give me a thumbs up when they can see my screen, that'd be great. Let me know, can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
And you can see the right presentation as well?
Yeah, yes.
Perfect, okay. So yeah, guys, don't worry, it's not going to be death by PowerPoint, but I just thought it'd be good to illustrate some of the points that I'm going to be making. So I put a few slides together. So these are the points I'm going to be covering. First one is, why are we here? Why is your career something you should be thinking about? I know a lot of you, the reason you're probably here is because you're already thinking about it, but you may have some doubts as to whether, you know, you have a lot of time to actually think about that. Maybe now is just time for you to focus on your academics, and, you know, maybe career is not something that is relevant for young people at this stage. So we're going to establish that. Then we're going to go into building and mastering our skills. So that will complement some of the things that Tosin has already mentioned. And then we'll talk more practically about how we can set ourselves up for success. Again, that touches on a few points that Tosin's mentioned. Then I'll share some useful resources for you that I've used and I found highly beneficial in growing my career, but also even growing myself as a person. So why is this relevant to us? I just absolutely love, you know, the young season of one's life, because I think it's such a blessed time. You know, you have time on your side and you have energy on your side. And actually it's the energy part that I think is so important. I've had the opportunity to work with young people over a number of years, and they are the most passionate, dedicated people I've ever come across. And I think it's because they just have that exuberance, that youthful energy. So I think, you know, it's important for us to recognize that we have these two resources on our side as young people. And the second thing is actually more of a myth that I'm going to bust, especially for me when I was at school in academia. I always thought that getting good grades were the be-all, end-all. Then I started working and I realized that actually getting good grades is just one of the many factors that we need to attain in order to have prosperous careers. So, you know, this will open our eyes, you know, out to information and insights that go beyond what we may learn, you know, in school or university, etc. And the last thing, the last point I wanted to mention is when opportunities actually come to us, you know, very often, but a lot of us don't recognize the opportunity or even make use of them because we're not adequately prepared. So this session should hopefully open your eyes to how we can prepare so that when opportunities come to us, we can leverage them. Okay, so how do we build our skills? So we've been talking about, you know, Tosin talked about how she, you know, threw herself into many different things. You know, she did choir, some things that she had, you know, a knack for, and other things that she just wanted to test out. And I thought that was a good starting point, actually. You know, we talk about building successful career, which is sort of end goal, but let's go back to the basics. What do we need to know about ourselves in order to, you know, build that successful career? I think these are questions that I want you guys to ask yourself. You know, what skills do I want to build? And in order to understand how you can answer those questions, I want you to think about the things that you're passionate about. What are the things that move you? What are the things that come very naturally to you? You know, that maybe other people, it might be in your family or even in your friendship group, to say, oh, can you just do this because you do it so much better and you do it quicker? What are those things? And also, what are your values? You know, I think these are the fundamental questions that we need to ask ourselves when we want to start thinking about what we want to do, how we want to spend our time, what we might want to concentrate our effort and talent in the future. And I'd like to also caveat that sometimes the answers won't come naturally, they won't come immediately to you. I don't think that I knew with, you know, clarity what my, you know, natural strengths were. I knew that, for example, I had a stronger interest in like science subjects as opposed to arts, for example. But even then, it still wasn't, you know, massively clear to me. So actually, similarly to Tosin, one thing I did when I was in the younger years of my life was I threw myself into many things. You know, I, again, you know, similarly played sports. I was also in the debating society. I was quite active in church. You know, I worked with the children in my church and so on and so forth. And actually, by doing all of these different things, I started to see the things that I enjoyed easily and the things that were a bit more effort for me. So sort of two key takeaways from that point. Think about what comes naturally to you. And if the answers don't come to you immediately, that's fine as well. The most important thing is that we don't lay dormant and we don't just sit idle until we get that big revelation. You know, sometimes the revelation comes in actually doing something. And that then takes me to the next step. So say, for example, you did, you know, say, okay, I'm just going to try out, you know, maybe working with a, you know, volunteering organization. I'm not sure if it's something that moves me, but I'm just going to do it because I don't want to sit idle. The fundamental thing is you will learn skills from, you know, that experience that you will rely on later on in life. So even though you might not end up, maybe if you volunteer with a health initiative or venture, you may end up doing something totally different, like maybe accounting. But because you will have worked with people, you would have had a good understanding of how to deal with people, right? You'd have had to communicate with a range of people. You'd have had to solve some problems. You'd have had to think through, you know, in the problem solving experiences that you go through. And all of these skills in fact, they're the basic currencies to any career that you go into in life, be it corporate, be it entrepreneurship. If it's even just a small shop that you decide you want to open and you just want to sell to your local community, you still need to communicate with them. You need to think about how you're going to set up and how you're going to sustain, you know, customer relationships. You need to solve problems because life is such that problems will always come up. So even if, you know, you end up doing something now that you eventually find that is not of high interest to you, or is not a career that you want to pursue, you will learn valuable skills from them that you can apply into anything in life. So that's some of the key points that I'd like to share on building and mastering your skills. Then the second thing is, once you've, you know, started picking up the skills, we need to hone in those skills. How do we hone in our skills? And how do we master our skills? We, you know, take up opportunities, positions in and around us. There are so many things that us being Nigerian, being Christians as well, that we're so connected with. Being Nigerian, we're very sociable. You know, we're usually part of big groups. I live in the United Kingdom. It's a bit more of a kind of mind your own business, you know, silo type of setting. Whereas in Nigeria, there are always, you know, there's a community, there's someone that you'll know through your parents and so on and so forth. So I think, you know, let's look around us and see where we can, you know, where there are gaps, you know, what we can do to fill those gaps. So I've put a few examples here, you know, again, repeating some of the points that Tosin's mentioned, but at school, you know, what society can you start? what clubs can you join? I think Tosin talked a lot about actually joining, but I actually think why not lead, start your own thing. If maybe you've applied to a couple of volunteering organizations and they didn't take your application, start your own community project, find a group of other young people that may want to, make a part of your maybe street or road or whatever better, right? So, see the need, take the lead. Church, I think, is such an amazing place to really master our skills. Is everyone here familiar with a singer called Beyonce? I'm sure we do know her. Found an interesting fact actually about her when I was preparing this presentation. She started the early years of spent most of her early years singing in church, and now she's like one of the most well-known singers. She's not a kingdom singer, but it remains the fact that she is one of the most well-known singers in the world, and she started in church. So let's take the responsibilities that are given to us seriously, and let's actually see them as opportunities to learn and to really hone in our skills as well. Think of all the all the times that you go to church in a year, for example, let's say approximately 52 Sundays. Imagine you were serving in your technical unit, right? And your responsibility was to help design the flyers and ensure that things were being projected on the screen during the sermons, etc. By the time you've done that for a year, you really would be almost an expert in that field, right? And you would have learned so many other things adjacent to that as well. So that's a really good church is a good platform for us to really hone in on our skills. They're local communities as well. People like Malala, who's a Nobel Peace winner, some of you might know her, started from her local community. She's a global person now, but she started from a local community. And she did that over and over and over again until someone recognized her and gave her that global platform. There are also so many organizations that are actually specifically looking for young people. There are some organizations that I've come across actually where there is an age cap. They literally don't want people above 25 or 30. You need to be young. And I think this is more the reason why we should feel that sense of urgency to take advantage of these unique opportunities. There are some opportunities that you won't be able to take on when you're 25 or when you're 30, They're specifically designed for young people. And then even your, things a bit more closer to your parents' business, for example, or a relative business, how can you improve the way in which they operate? How can you maybe automate a process, for example? Those are even examples that you can give in prospective job interviews. If you don't actually have maybe a volunteering experience, you could say, look, my parents' business there was this issue with, maybe delays in, serving customers, for example. Maybe there are always long queues at their shops, but you created an automated system in which, the queue could be shortened by 30 minutes, something like that. You're demonstrating that you can offer value, actually create value. And no one hears stories like that and won't be impressed with it. And again, do you have a passion to start your own thing, your business, your blog, your website, helping people check their essays? Go for it, set it up. As Tosin said, you may not get it right the first time, but if you keep at it, either you'll realize that maybe that idea that you started with isn't actually the right one for you, but because you took a step and you launched that idea, the right idea will become more clear to you. And the last point that I want to talk about is practice, practice, practice. There are so many factors that contribute to success, and I think one of the consistent ones is consistency, practicing. Practice makes the most average people look brilliant, amazing. And I really would also like to get you guys to think about some of the most successful people that we know in the world, the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates. Do we think that they're the most intelligent people in the world? Do we think of the 7 billion people, they are literally like the most intelligent people? I don't think so. I think they know their stuff, but I think they know their stuff because they've practiced their trade over and over again. And to bring some of these points to life, I'm going to share a couple of stories with you. So I've got this slide here that says, from a simple ask to number 10 Downing Street. So the story goes, in 2016, there was a man at my church that wanted to organize a meeting for a group of men. Actually, he went ahead to organize the meeting, and he needed to send an email to everyone who attended the meeting. And he didn't want it to be done in a manual way where he would be sending an email to maybe 50 people one by one. He wanted one email to go out to everyone at the same time, but personalize it for all the different people. So he asked whether I could use this software called MailChimp to help him send the email. And Lord knows I did not know what MailChimp was at the time, nor had I used it before, but I said, yes, I'll do it. So I went on Google and typed in, how do I send emails via MailChimp? And I saw all the steps and I did it for him. And that was that. And then come 2017, I went for a program at an organization in the UK called Association for Black and Ethnic Minority Engineers. It's an organization catering to create more opportunities for people of ethnic minority in the UK. And it was at a time that I needed some support to help progress my career. So I went for the event. It was a networking event. And after the event, I got an email from the founder saying, hey, Tolu, thank you very much for attending. We have a request for you. We need to send an email to everyone that came to the event today. And we have a MailChimp account. And I just wanted to check, is that something you've used before? Could you help us, pick up this task? And I said, oh, yes, I remember helping someone send an email a year ago. No worries, send me the details. I'll send the email to you. So I did that for them. And then the following, a couple of months later, the lady came to me, the founder, and said, Tolu, I'd really like you to join our executive board. I see a lot of potential in you, blah, blah, blah. And, I took on the opportunity. And a year later, I was invited as part of the team to go to Downing Street. So for those of you who might not know, Downing Street is like the maybe Aso Rock equivalent of Nigeria. So it's where it's the Prime Minister's official residence. So we got to go there. We got to share some insights on what the organization did to improve opportunities for young people in the UK, to the special advisor to the Prime Minister at the time. And now, if we look at the link, this came from an initial request two years before that I'd taken, something that looked like so flimsy, not the most important thing in the grand scheme of things, right? That then became an opportunity for me to attend number 10 Downing Street. And the next story I wanted to illustrate on my point about practice is the 10,000 hour rule. There's a book that I read last year called Outliers. And I'd really encourage everyone on the call to read it if they haven't read it. There's a free version on YouTube that you can listen to. And the book presents a theory that one of the most determining factors in success is basically practice, but summarizes it as the 10,000 hour rule. So they look at the lives of people like Bill Gates and the Beatles. So the Beatles are a British band, but they're like the most successful rock and roll band of all time. It's got some members like John Lennon and Paul McCartney, if those are names that are familiar to you. So Bill Gates, we know is the founder of Microsoft. In the 1970s, I believe he got access to a computer when computers still weren't mainstream. And then about 10 years later, computers became mainstream. But they're saying the book presents to us that between the time that he got a computer and the time that computers became mainstream, he had locked down around 10,000 hours of programming and coding. So when computers became mainstream, you already had an edge, probably one of the best positioned people in the world. He knew how the system worked, and that was a launching pad really for him to start Microsoft, which is one of the most successful companies in the world. And then going to the Beatles, it was said that before they break through, that they had spent 5 months in Berlin, in Germany, playing every night. No one really knew who they were. There was a little club, they were in, and they would play every night. They're playing, they're practicing their instrumentation skills, they're practicing their voice, and eventually they had their break. And by the time that platform was given to them, they had already become experts in their field. So I thought it was important for me to share that story, to bring to life to you that it's not sufficient enough to have those natural abilities, those skills, but it's also even more important for us to continue to hone in on them, to continue to practice them until you are the best at that skill. No one else can do it better than you. Now we're going to be talking about setting ourselves up for success. What are the practical ways in which we can set ourselves up? Again, this overlaps a little bit with what Tosin's mentioned, network. So networking is essentially, building connections and maximizing those connections. I think for me, it's probably one of the most important skills you'll need to have a thriving career. The people that you know in life are your net worth. And I heard someone say this recently, that money is no longer going to become the most important resource that you have. It's actually the people that you know. So let's be conscious of, the value that people can bring to us. When you go to even things that seem very innocent or, just not that important, like maybe a birthday gathering or even a wedding, something that you just go in to have fun. Be mindful of the types of people that you could meet there, and make sure that when you do meet people that are interesting, people that you share similar values with, ensure that those relationships are fostered. You don't know how they could help you in future, and vice versa as well. And the second point, reiterating what one of the things Tosin said, is always strive for excellence. How many of us here would recommend someone that we experience really bad customer service with? I doubt any of us would. And I think this is what sets people apart. It's great to be talented, but if your attitude, your service, the way in which you package that talent is messy, you're not going to have a thriving either career or business. Whatever it is we do, even if it's an email that you're sending, be excellent. Even if it's like a communication in a WhatsApp group, you're organizing, be excellent. No matter, if you can't be excellent in the things that are small, little, then you won't be able to be excellent in the things that that are big. And this is one of the things that will set you apart in the workplace. Everyone will have a similar amount of knowledge to you, even experience, but will they be able to say, oh, this person, I can give him that work because I know that his attention to detail is top notch. I know that he will deliver value. So be that person. Make sure you foster that attitude, from this stage of your life. Be a stickler for excellence. The third is have the right attitudes. I think attitudes is one of the, for me, I think it's actually the winning factor in life, because it's what will make you see something that someone else sees as failure as actually, this is an opportunity for me to learn, Attitudes such as integrity. Do you know what I mean? If you say to someone, I'm going to do this by this time for you, make sure you deliver. And when you can't, because life happens, you communicating with them to say, I told you that I'd get back to you by 10 p.m., but unfortunately X, Y, and Z have happened. And could we please reschedule to tomorrow or the day after? So integrity is a great attitude to foster. I think also be willing to take correction. Don't be the person that just wants to hear, oh yeah, what you're doing is great all the time. It's good to be encouraged, it's good to be affirmed, but also look to want to be critiqued, because if you're not critiqued, you're not going to improve. So be open-minded, don't think people are castigating you or trying to put you down when they give you constructive feedback. Take it on board. Those are the things that will actually help you, progress in your career or in your business or anything else that you set out to do. And the last point is stay curious. A lot of people actually are unable to sustain their success because they don't stay curious. They don't want to evolve. They want to stay the same. Make sure you keep updating the knowledge that you have. Make sure you're updating your skill. The world is so fast-paced these days that in order for you to keep up, you cannot remain at the same level. You must always find means to update yourself. These are some of the resources that I found useful in developing myself. And I'm sure some of them won't come as a surprise to you. YouTube is my best friend. I watch more YouTube than I watch TV because I can learn about just about anything on YouTube. And I've put some examples of some channels that I follow to update my business knowledge, my industry knowledge, my career knowledge. CNBC Make It, they do a lot of short success stories, which I always find very inspiring, and they challenge me. And you get to see how young people from different parts of the world as well, how they're approaching life and how they're approaching their career. And then TEDx talks as well. I know that, Nigeria, there are spaces in Nigeria that organize regular TEDx talks, free, information on just a vast amount of topics, from healthcare to politics to economics. There's so much you can learn from TEDx talks. And there's this guy called Marcus Brownlee, who is a young American who does short videos on the latest technological trends. So if you're someone who's interested in technology, he's a good person to follow. And Ali Abdul, which I skipped actually, he does a lot on productivity and is a young person, a medical, doctor turned YouTuber, who does, he has a high interest in, spending your time productively. So he does a lot of videos on how you can be a productive person. And then the next resource is LinkedIn. I hope that if anyone's on this call and they're at university or above, you're on this platform. It's a great way to meet people. For some of you that might have questions about the careers that you're thinking about or considering, LinkedIn is a great way to find people who are already in those careers. And I assure you, people are willing to share their experience for free. Connect with them, let them know that you're a young person curious to learn more. And 9 out of 10 times they will accept your invitation to chat to them. And then books, I'm sure I'm probably preaching to the choir here. Read as much as, I think it was Elon Musk that said a lot of the things he knows he read from books, so again, another avenue for us to learn about different topics, even specific topics. If it's business that you want to start, find books that talk about business, that are, that are focused on business, and pick out tips for people that have gone ahead of you. They've made mistakes, they've documented their mistakes, they've documented how they, overcame their mistakes, and just, save yourself the aggro that they went through. There are some free ebook platforms. YouTube is a great source. There's Google ebook store, and there's Open Library as well. And then I put down Google. I just, even till now in my job, and I'm sure until I retire, I will never not need to Google things on Google, right? So use it. And Google, the company, actually also offer a lot of training courses with certification as well. I know that they do a lot on, digital technology. So for a lot of you that are interested in coding, programming, and so on and so forth, make sure you go on their website and find what free courses you can sign up for. And to round up, preparation is key. We've said, I've highlighted the fact that some opportunities, are time bound. Some of them you cannot pursue after the age of 25, after the age of 21 or 30. So now is your time to really put that preparation in, and ensuring that when those opportunities come to you, you have the adequate amount of capacity to sustain them. And the second point is, we all have our God-given abilities. And I think it's really important that we really, which is why I started with, what is unique to us? What are our own strengths? What are our values? What are the things that we have passion about? We live in a world where we're exposed to one another's lives, and it's so easy to copy what other people are doing. You will only do the best at what you have been given the capacity and ability for. So make sure you find out what those abilities are and take responsibility to identify and to refine them as well. And also embrace your uniqueness. These are the things, your skills, your abilities that is what sets you apart from the rest of the world. So embrace them. Don't see them as, oh, I don't know why I'm this way or that way. No, use that as your, so to speak, superpower. That's your differentiator. And the last point is, things won't always work out when you first set out, not all the times, even as Christians, even as children of God. But we don't give up, we keep practicing, we keep re-strategizing, we take feedback. Should I have approached it this way? Okay, maybe I should go back to the drawing board, refine it, pray as well. God, is there something that I could have done differently? Don't give up, keep practicing. And there's no such thing as failure, really. It's just if something hasn't worked out the way you set it out to work out, it's a learning opportunity. Don't see it as failure. And I hope that you have all taken something away from the presentation. Thank you very much for having me. I know that you're all going to do amazingly well in your different career paths, because you're going to be making use of these types of forums, and I'm sure other similar forums that you're using to gain insight and perspectives on how to build your career. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tolu. Wow, that was a lot, but that was loaded. Thank you so much. We really appreciate everything you've said. I think for me, one thing that really stood out was when you said we should remain curious, because in doing that, it means like we're ready to learn more and we're ready to to know more. Yeah. But if we feel like we've known everything already, then there's no room, like even psychologically, to be able to take more in. And you also had mentioned thought debates. I know Tosin mentioned it, but in terms of networking as well, that's key to me. And one of the aim of this group is actually to get people to network with one another, because you might just not know where, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, knowing Tosin, knowing you was some form of networking actually, and see where we are today. I'll leave one interesting fact I didn't mention earlier is that I got to know Tosin and Tolu separately, and then discovered that both of them actually went to the same secondary school. So they were friends, and then I got to know them separately, and then we all became friends. Anyways, without further ado, I would open we have few questions, and then I'll just leave Samuel to take the questions so that we can wrap up. Over to you, Samuel. We can't hear you. You're still muted. Okay, yeah.
I can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
Hi. Yeah, well done, Tolu. Well done, Tosin.
Thank you.
I know both of you personally, so it's good to see you guys. Well, you guys are doing really well. Yeah, I had a couple of questions. I think for me, the key things I took out written down, and like the 10,000 hour rules. I'm quite surprised I haven't heard that before, so I think I'll be doing my research in that. I'm sure that'll be very interesting. But consistency is always going to be a winner regardless of anything you do, and it doesn't matter what area you at. Once you're consistent with something, that's like 90% of success in that. I've just got a couple of questions which I'll go through. But I don't know, you or Listen, whichever one answers the question, I'm sure we're fine. In volunteering, what would you say is our best? Would you advise to volunteer in various sectors, or find something that you enjoy, you want to get experience in, let's focus on that? Or you just say any role that offers volunteering opportunity for you to get into something, potentially learn experience or make mistakes you can make and see if you like it? What would be your advice on that? And if you can answer that, and if there's anything to add to it.
This is just me answering the questions, just to clarify again.
Yes, and I can also jump in, like, if I have anything to add. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I would say, if given the choice, volunteer in an area that you're interested in and you're passionate about, because you're not getting paid for it, right? It becomes a little bit more laborious if you are putting your time and effort into something that you're not getting in some form of money or compensation for, and then on top of that, you're actually not passionate about it. So I'd say, firstly, find something that you're passionate about and put your time and effort into that. And if you're unable to find something, I actually would say start something that you're passionate about. I think there are so many, we live in a world where we're empowered actually to everyone, that you come across on social media, even in life, they're doing something that they're passionate about, and they've been able to find an avenue to stand that thing up. So I would say do that. that would be my second step before then going into a specific sector or, industry, just for the sake of it, because I think it's important to be interested in some. Otherwise, your willingness to even want to do the work, deliver the work required, or uphold your responsibilities excellently then becomes really tasking. So try your best to find something that you're passionate about, is my answer.
Yeah, that would have been what I would say as well, especially when time is limited for everybody. So to spread yourself thin, it's that'll be more difficult to do. Again, from one of the things I said, I think a lot of us probably look down when we say parents' business and sort of too to be doing that. That's not. I want to do something, but you made a good point in terms of that's a ready-made space for you to test out your skills. To almost think, how can I make this better? And even if your mom is selling, say, plantain chips, you can think, oh, what can I do to move it to the next level? Social media, can I package it better? Can I, test out some of the skills that I want to get involved in? Before, if you want to work for Google, even just turn up to Google. But if you've got the experience, you can build it up from there. So that's just an extra addition. And someone had a question about networking. How would you suggest to network effectively? I think for me personally, LinkedIn, I don't know I'm sure you'd have your views on it, but apart from, say, the typical LinkedIn, what other areas would you give to how to network more effectively?
Yeah, I think before we even go into the areas, I think there's an attitude you have to go into a networking space so that you maximize the opportunities. Because I found out that with myself, for a long time, I didn't actually know how to network. I was just going to events with friends, and we sat together and we're doing everything together. And then one day it just dawned on me that I was going to these events. I wasn't making new connections. I was leaving with the same friends. I really did not recognize that it was an opportunity to, make new connections and foster new relationships. So I think that first things first, understand that networking can happen anywhere. IBK said, even this platform is a network. It's a networking platform. For whoever who answered that question, how many people have you sought to actually learn more about from this platform? Have you identified someone that might have similar values, interests to you? And have you spoken to them on a one-on-one basis, or do you only ever wait for settings like this to speak to people? So I think it's probably more about your mindset, your attitude, than the forums. And then if we're to go to forums, groups like this, church, LinkedIn is a good one. I think COVID really unlocked an amazing opportunity for all of us, which is networking then became expanded to virtual settings, right? Whereas before COVID, a lot of the time I had to physically go to a space for networking, but now I could, attend a webinar in America or and one way which you can find what maybe might be relevant to you is an app called Clubhouse. There's about probably millions of groups there that focus on a vast range of topics. You've got STEM, you've got, relationships, you've got all sorts there. So, that could be a potential platform that you can use. But understand that we live in a very virtually connected world these days. Literally, maybe just Google, what you're interested in, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of groups come up. But do this sensibly and responsibly. There are also lots of not so responsible people online, so make sure you're not just joining anything. Perhaps, if you're a younger teen, get your parents to check, get older people around you to, vet, some of these groups.
Yeah, thanks. So that's a good, and probably from a mentor's point of view, I'd say can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I would say anyone looking to be mentored or looking to form connections always that come with the mindset of wanting to learn, because the worst thing a mentee will want from someone that wants to be mentored, it's not to feel like you're going to be extracting or you're going to be overbearing. You almost have to teach yourself in the right thought, this is what I want from you. But sometimes there's anything, that could be of help with, make a relationship that is not just very parasitic, or if there's anything you can infuse that can be of help to them, it will make the relationship a lot more, right, you can look forward to linking in with them, you can look forward to engaging with them. But that's just one thing to bear in mind when you're networking, especially as a young person. You might always feel like the mentee or mentor relationship or the networking relationship should always favor you, and you should always be able to go to them for things you need, or how do you get from them. But just bear that in mind as a young person, if you're networking, that it should be two-sided. And I think that would then help foster even more network or more relationships to develop to what you want it to the skills versus how to make money. And I think that's very relevant, especially for younger people. And there's a fine line between should you almost zone in on your passion as they call it, or sometimes you might have to make a decision to be your 9 to 5 to fund your passion, or what would you suggest in terms of balancing that?
Yeah, so if I could interrupt before Tolu moved to the next question, I just wanted to say something about networking as well. Thank you very much. I think for me, one of the things I've realized is that even when it comes to networking, it takes people around us. Do you get what I mean? Like sometimes we're looking at people on Instagram, people on LinkedIn that we can't reach. And when my brother earlier mentioned the mentor-mentee relationship, we always look at people that will probably not reply us if you send them a message. We probably not, do you get what I mean? But even my charge to young people is always to look around you first. And I always use this example all the time. My brother is my when it comes to financial things, is my mentor. Well, it might just be my brother, I might just be there, and I'm not using that, even though and one thing I want to touch on before the next question is, you had mentioned that you go for this event with friends and all of that, but I think you didn't mention how you moved from just going for those events to actually networking effectively.
Okay,
like,
yeah, that's fine.
You did mention that you realized that you were just going for events, but how did you move from just attending to then actively networking?
Yeah, no, thank you. Sorry, I didn't complete that question, but very much, going with a plan and a vision. Like, this is not just a hangout with my friends, but I'm actually going to identify potential opportunities and connections, and actually just summing up the courage. It's all about, you go to an event, maybe there are 50 people. We're not charging you to speak to all 50 people. Just find someone that you have 1 or 2 things in common with, and build something or plant a seed that could turn into something. So if there are presenters at the event, for example, and there's something I particularly liked about one of the presenters, presentation, I'd go up to them afterwards to say, that was really good. I didn't see it this way before. Could we connect, on LinkedIn, or, I have this idea and I'd really love someone like you to, hear it out. And like 9 out of 10 times, people will not turn you down. People are actually really warm, and they're not as intimidating as we sometimes feel. So I think that's one thing. The other thing is also actually helping to finding out, maybe actually, when is this event going to happen again? How can I get involved in organizing it? Then that way you get to organize it. You even have special privileges, right? Because you might get to meet the guests, in the backstage and so on and so forth. So I think those are probably 2 ways in which I've been able to really make more meaningful connections as well. But also talk about what you do as well. People, even when you meet some amazing people, they're also interested in what you want to do, which is, where maybe Tosin's elevator speech comes in there. Don't just make it about, the other person, let them know that you're an interesting person as well. Because, mentoring or mentoring, it's a social relationship at the end of the day, and it's something that needs to be organic to a certain extent. So you kind of want to come across quite interesting to the person as well, that make them feel like, oh yeah, this is a young person that I could also learn something from, or have a quite good relationship with. So yeah, those are some of the practical steps I've taken.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And to reiterate the last question, which Samuel asked, is finding the balance between your 9 to 5, your primary sort of career, and, building your passion. Is that what your passion, or your 9 to 5? Was that the question, Samuel? Okay. So I always say that if you're in a 9 to 5 job, but you desire to venture out into something different, perhaps you want to build your own business, or you actually just maybe not necessarily want to build it, but you just have an interest in maybe. So for example, someone like myself, I have a blog that I'm passionate about. I have no desire in the immediate future to turn it into my full-time career. So how do I manage, delivering at my job and sustaining the the blog? Well, there are two things. One of them pays me, which is my 9 to 5 job, right? So that's the one I have my primary commitment with from a legal point of view. So I strive not to allow my commitment to my blog to make my work suffer, because there will be consequences. I think there can be an attitude sometimes that, oh, it's not my thing. Let me just focus on my thing. No, we need to be people of integrity. If you have a job and you're getting paid every month, make sure that you have, you fulfill your commitment to that job. Yes, you may need to sacrifice additional time to work on your side hustle, your 9 to, your own business. That's, you've made the decision to launch out. So those are the sacrifices you need to make. But I also think planning is so important. I think actually both can be sustained. I think I find myself a lot more productive when I plan. If I just walk into a week like a daisical, not knowing, just things being a bit here and there, then I don't get much out of it. But if during the weekend, Sunday, I'm like, okay, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z at work, and I want to achieve X, Y, and Z with my blog, then actually I find that the results that I want to see pan out by the end of the week. So I think planning, when you plan, you can make use of your time better. And also, if you have the opportunity to get a team to support you, I think, get people to come on the journey with you. I found myself able to post a lot more consistently last year because I had a young person, he was just finishing university, helping me. So she saw it, I sold it to her as a learning opportunity, because it is a learning opportunity, but it also helped shed the load. But it also gave me, an opportunity to mentor, to lead, and to also be held accountable. So these are some of the ways in which I've managed to sustain my career and my interests and passions.
Yeah, thanks for that. I think that's it's very practical as well. I think like planning, like I've got an hour by an hour, thinking like, right.
Yeah. In terms of planning, I once heard something.
In every hour. But that really...
I was going to say there was one thing that I heard about planning once that I try to hold on to. I won't say all the time, but I try to, and it works for me. Plan your week on the weekends. So on the weekends, have an idea of what you want to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and plan the next day, the evening before. So plan the week on Saturday or Sunday, and then plan for Tuesday morning on Monday evening, because obviously things change. And actually, it's quite simple, but I find it works for me when I apply it.
Yeah, that's true. You can cut your hours to, and if anything wants to eat into it, I think that's just you to be disciplined to say, oh no, it's not time for the family run, or don't get disciplined with that. I hope everyone, I've gained quite a lot already from just listening to yourself and things to say. I've written some stuff down. I want to sort of get better, or things that I think might be helpful. And I just want to commend the guys running the platform. Again, this is part of what I'm probably saying. The consistency is, to me, is exciting, even it doesn't matter the effort they put into running it. So like Falana, You're a Day, IBK, I don't know how many times I try to reach and say, are you going to be doing the question and answer? To me, that's all what seeds of success, because when this reaches large number of people, when this blows up, you've done the work in the background. So I just want to encourage you, any guys that's part of the running of this. Just keep up the good work. Some of the adverts are getting loads better now. I'm quite proud to share them now and broadcast it. So just keep that level up, and looking forward to the next session. And it's good to see you guys again. I think that's everything from me, IBK.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Thank you, Tolu. Thank you, Tosin. Sorry, she had to on another meeting, so she's not here anymore. But thank you for doing just those questions. We've spoken a lot about networking. This is the time to follow us on all our social media pages and reach out to us if you need to contact any of the speakers. We can always connect you with them. We also have a WhatsApp group for the guys. So if you would like to join the WhatsApp group, you can reach out to us on our social media platform. I'll be ready to send you the link. Can any of the admin guys please post all our links in the chat box? We just want to take out 30 seconds for you all to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So after the meeting, if this meeting has been so good that you feel like, oh, someone needs to hear it, just go to our YouTube channel. You'll be able to send the link to someone. And if you also feel like maybe during the meeting you were distracted, you need to still watch one or two parts, you can also rewatch it as well. But please help us share what we're doing, and during the next meeting you get to see all our updates in our on our social media pages, and invite others as well. If you think what we're doing, someone needs to hear it, please do not hesitate to invite someone. And if you also have suggestions for us, we're very open to suggestions. Most of the things you see us doing are people coming to us to say, oh, it would be good to do this, it would be good to do that. And we always try to ensure that we implement some of these suggestions to our meeting. Does anyone still have any questions, contributions, or maybe you'd like to unmute your mic to say something? Meanwhile, while we're waiting for that, can you just please say thank you, Tolu, thank you, Tosin, in the comment section? Just let's show the speakers some love. Let's tell them that we've gained a lot. And if you can even write one thing that stood out for you, maybe during the session, that would be good. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you can write one of the things. Another thing we want you to do is we want to stay in touch. We really want to stay in touch. So we have a link. We have a link that we can, that we're going to share now, where you can put in all your details. So you get our emails, get our text messages, so that you don't get to miss a meeting. We understand that some people after the meeting will message me, oh my God, I really wanted to attend the meeting, but I didn't remember what time it was. So we actually have different platforms set up to remind people. So if you give us your email, you give us your phone number, you definitely hear from us, and there's no way that you'd miss the next meeting. Okay, everyone is just saying thank you to you, Tosin, Tolu, thank you, thank you, thank you. Irede, are you able to post the link so that we just take 1 minute for people to follow us? If you're not following us, please can you go to the links that are being posted and then follow us, and then so that we can go. Thank you so much. Someone said they logged in late, but they will definitely catch up. Thank you for sharing your priceless knowledge. Victor, Irede, Folao, can you post the links, please, so that people can follow and people can subscribe to our YouTube channel? Thank you, Ebuka. Ebuka said, thank you guys, it was quite educative. Do we have the link, anybody? Okay, so the link is up now. So if you just want to take like 30 seconds to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and then our email is also there in case you need us, in case you need to send us an email. And okay, the link is there again. Yes, and you can also connect to the speakers, like when we're posting about the meeting in on our Instagram page, we actually tag the speaker, so you can follow. I can let her know what you learned from these sessions. There, Tolu, if I'm right, you're very much open to feedback and people connecting with you. Yes, and I also wanted to ask if it's okay to share your slides to our mailing list. Okay, so we'll be sharing slides, the slides that Tolu used for our presentation. So you can always go back to it to, to remind yourself about some of the things she had spoken about. Like, I feel like this session is actually not enough to take in everything that you've shared with us. This is kind of session you want to go back, read your notes, read the slides, watch the recording again so that you can reiterate some of the points that have been made. Okay, Irede, do you have the link to get people's details? You can just post it here. That's all we're waiting for. We just want to get everyone's details before they leave, and then would call it an evening. Okay. What would definitely also do? Okay, so that's the link. Please, if can you click on the link that's just been shared in the chat and just fill in your details for us so that we can be in touch, and then would send you the slides. If you don't fill the link, there's no way we can be in touch with you to send you the slides and to send you updates about our program. So please click the link. If you've clicked the link and you fill the form, just say done. Once I see done, 3 people done, we'll close the meeting. So if you can click the link and say done, then we can move on to close the meeting. Anybody, has anyone filled the link? Can we all see the link to start with? You can actually unmute your mic to let me know. Can we see the link Irede just posted to get our details? Can you see the link? Can you see it? Or can you comment if you can see it or not, so that we can Irede maybe post this like again and again and again so that people can get to see it. If you can see the link, can you just put a comment to say seen and done? Okay, so yes, 1 person done. Joy, thank you. We need 2 more people so that we can go. Who else? 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 Okay, thank you. Yeah, the survey will take only 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you. Okay, done. We need 1 more person so that we can go. 1 more person to complete the link, and then we'll call it an evening. So many places to go. One more person. Is anyone feeling? Yes, done. Thank you so much. We're just going to take the closing prayer, and then we always have dance, and also networking at the end of the meeting. So if you want to hang around for like 5 more minutes, just get to meet you. Ebuka, thank you. So just get to meet you, and then would close out from there. I can see OMO. I want that person to please take. I'm not sure which of my uncles is this, but yes, I want you to please take. No, I have only 1 uncle that is OMO. Please take the closing prayer for us. I was thinking it was another person, but please take the closing prayer for us, sir. If it's what I'm thinking. Okay. OMO, are you able to take? Okay, yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Please, can you take the closing prayer for us?
Okay. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you. Thank you for this day. Thank you for the gathering. Thank you for the wisdom you've given unto us. For that, Lord, we pray, oh Lord, as we be going this day, we pray, oh Lord, you bless us, you anoint
Amen.
us. Lord, everything
Amen.
we learn, oh Lord, shall be a great impact in our life, in our spiritual life, in our physical life,
Amen.
and in our professional life, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
In Jesus' name, pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you all so much for joining. I can't appreciate you enough. Thank you, Tolu. Thank you, Tosin. God bless you. Please hang around for some music, but you're free to leave the